Most retirees in 2026 aren't being ruined by a market crash. They're being ruined by 3 comforting lies that quietly eat their savings while they sleep. If you're 60 or older, treat this as a wake-up call. Safe does not mean what you think it means. Income only can be a trap, and Social Security will not carry you the way you hope. Lie 1, safe equals cash and CDs for decades. People were told that if you're retired, cash, CDs, and fixed income are safe, and stocks are dangerous. That sounds reasonable. It is also in the wrong dose. One of the most dangerous beliefs you can hold in 2026. Here is the basic problem. Inflation is a thief that never retires. I've described inflation as an invisible tax and a silent wealth killer that slowly destroys your purchasing power, even while you feel like nothing is happening. In 2025 and into 2026, many outlooks still expect inflation to hover in the 3-4% range, with plenty of uncertainty around energy, healthcare, and housing costs. Now imagine you respond to that by putting most of your retirement money into cash yielding 1-2% at your bank, or CDs paying 2-3% at your local branch because they feel safe. If prices are rising at 3-4% and your money is growing at 1-3%, your real wealth is shrinking every single year. You're getting paid, you see interest hit your account. But what that money can buy is quietly being gnawed away like rust on an unpainted bridge. Even in today's unusual environment, where some top-tier CDs have offered around 45%, in recent years, national average 400 rates are still far lower, and most retirees stick with their familiar banks at much lower yields. For them, safe is a mirage. I've been blunt about this for years. Long bonds at low rates in an inflationary world can be among the most dangerous assets because they promise you nominal dollars that buy less and less over time. Cash has no downside, only if you ignore the slow, relentless loss of purchasing power. If you are 65 in 2026, you are not planning for 12 months. You are planning for 20, 30 years. Over that horizon, a portfolio that hugs cash and low yield, CDs can feel safe while slowly ensuring that your groceries hurt a little more each year. Your property taxes and insurance nibble more out of your budget. Your health care and medications get more expensive faster than your interest income grows. Safe is not about the volatility of your statement. It's about whether your money will still mean something in 10, 20, 30 years. For that, cash and CDs alone are not enough. Lie 2, I'll live off interest only. The second comforting story is this: I'll never touch my principal. I'll live off interest and dividends only. On paper, it sounds prudent. In reality, for most retirees, it leads to one of 2 bad outcomes. You chase higher yield into riskier products just to get enough income. Or you keep your risk low but accept a shrinking standard of living year after year as inflation outruns your income. When interest rates are low or normal and inflation runs around 3-4%, a purely income-only mindset can mean deliberately choosing to fall behind for 20, 30 years. My own approach, both personally and at Berkshire, has never been income at all costs. It has been own productive assets, quality businesses that can raise prices, grow earnings, and thus keep up with or beat inflation over time. Combine those with safer assets, cash, short-term bonds, some CDs or treasuries to handle volatility and cash free flow needs. Equities are not a gambling ticket when you own good companies at reasonable prices. They are partial ownership in businesses that sell real goods and services, adjust prices over time, grow profits in nominal terms as the economy and prices grow. Over long stretches of history, stocks have outperformed cash and bonds precisely because they participate in inflation rather than being eroded by it. If you insist on never touching principal and income only, you often back yourself into a corner. You load up on high-yield products and complex structured notes that pay 7-9%, but take equity-like or credit-like risks you don't understand. Or you refuse to take any risk, settle for 23% yields, and lock in a slow decline in lifestyle as your costs outpace your income. A healthier way to think about retirement in 2026 is this: aim for a balanced portfolio, some allocation to quality equities, broad index funds or strong businesses, plus safe assets for stability. Accept that over a 25-year retirement, you will likely spend some principal, but if your assets can grow at, say, 4-6% after inflation, that principal can serve you for a long time. The key variables are your withdrawal rate, how much you take out each year, your mix between growth assets, equities, and stability assets, cash, bonds, CDs, your fee drag, how much is leaking away to products and advisors, Clinging stubbornly to income only can feel conservative, but over a 20, 30-year horizon, it is often the more reckless choice because it virtually guarantees you lose the war against inflation. Lie 3, Social Security will cover me. The third lie is the most emotionally comforting. I've paid into Social Security my whole life. The COLAs will protect me. I'll be okay. Social Security is a crucial pillar. It keeps tens of millions of Americans from poverty, but it was never designed to fully insulate you from inflation and all your costs. Look at the recent numbers. Social Security's cost-of living adjustment, COLA for 2026, is projected at 2.8%, up from about 2.5% the year before. That adds roughly $56 a month to the average beneficiary's check. At the same time, surveys of older Americans show that many feel their actual costs, especially health care, housing, insurance, and food, are rising at 5% or more, with a significant share saying they need 8% or more to truly keep up. COLA is calculated based on the CPIW index, which tracks spending patterns of urban workers, not retirees. It tends to underweight some of the categories that bite hardest in retirement, like medical care and certain types of housing. In plain language, Social Security adjusts, but often lags behind the inflation that hits seniors hardest. About 39% of beneficiaries rely on Social Security for their entire income. They are the most exposed when COLAs don't fully match real-world price increases. You cannot build a safe retirement plan on the assumption that COLA will always match your personal inflation. Political risk is zero. Benefit formulas will never change. You don't control those levers. You do control how much you depend on them. A Buffett-style way to think about Social Security is treat it as a baseline annuity, a valuable floor that covers part of your essentials. Plan your savings and portfolio so that you're not relying on it to maintain your full lifestyle, especially in the later years when health care and assisted living can spike. If your entire retirement math is my Social Security plus a little interest, you are leaving your future in the hands of a formula and committee decisions. That's not how you'd run a business. It shouldn't be how you run the biggest financial project of your life. A 2026 checklist for retirees and near retirees, 60 if you're 60 or older today. Here's how to bring all of this down to earth. Think of this as a simple checklist in my voice. 1, do I have at least some exposure to quality equities? Even at 70, 75, 80, it can be rational to own a moderate allocation to equities through broad index funds or a diversified set of strong businesses. They are your main tool for staying ahead of inflation over long spans. The exact percentage depends on your health, other income, and risk tolerance, but zero stocks forever is rarely the safest choice over 20, 30 years too. Have I made peace with spending principle carefully rather than income only? Think in terms of a sustainable withdrawal rate, for example, something in the 3-4% range adjusted to your situation from a balanced portfolio. Your goal is not to die with the highest account value. It's to maintain a dignified standard of living without running out of money. That usually involves using both income and some principal over time. 3, am I factoring in real-world inflation, not just headline numbers? Be honest about your personal inflation, health care, housing, food, insurance. Ask, what did these cost me 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Stress test your plan against a future where your costs rise faster than the COLA on Social Security and the yields on your CDs. How much of my life is effectively outsourced to Social Security decisions? Know exactly what percentage of your monthly budget comes from Social Security. If it's 80-100%, you are extremely vulnerable. Any unexpected expense, roof, dental work, long-term care will be a crisis, not an inconvenience. 5, am I avoiding high-fee complex products that promise safety? Many retirees are sold annuities, structured notes, and guaranteed products with layers of fees that quietly drain returns. Ask for every product, what am I paying? All in, every year. A 1-2% fee drag over 20 years can remove a huge chunk of your future income. If you go through those questions and don't like your answers, you don't need to panic. You need to adjust. In 2026, the 3 lies sound comforting. My money's safe in cash and CDs. I'll just live off the interest. Social Security will take care of me. The truth is, less comforting, but more useful, cash and low-yield instruments by themselves are dangerous in an inflationary world. Income only often means voluntarily losing to inflation for 20, 30 years. Social Security is a floor, not a full plan. And COLAs don't always reflect your real costs. The wake-up call is simple. If you're 60 in 2026, You still need to think like an owner, not just a saver. Own some productive assets. Respect inflation. Control your withdrawals. Refuse to hand your future to high-fee products and comforting narratives. Do that, and your savings can do what they were meant to do: support a long, useful, dignified life without quietly disappearing under the weight of 3 very expensive lies.